Welcome back to Raptor-One.
Raptor-One, Voyagers of the Stars. Chapter 24, The 12 Radiants. The constellation stirs. The shard of ash pulsed faintly on Lyra's wrist as Raptor-One drifted beyond the orchard's shadow. Autumn scouts blinked at the edge of range, circling like wolves that had scented blood. But before they could close, the constellation itself intervened. Lines of light bent across the star map, threads of resonance weaving into a pattern they hadn't seen before. Radiants flickered in unison, not one by one, but together, their voices rising in faint, overlapping chords. Juno's breath caught. It's calling them all. Kael leaned over the map, brow furrowed. All. As in all. Lyra's hollow thrummed, aching with recognition. The constellation doesn't want scattered lights anymore. It wants 12 flames at once. The map shifted, showing arcs of impossible routes, each leading to radiance dimmed but still alive. The shard pulsed hot. The message was clear. The 12 radiants must be lit in concert, or not at all. A task too vast. Silence fell heavy in the cockpit. Kael broke it first, his voice sharp. It's suicide. 12 nodes, spread across systems crawling with Autumn and Alliance fleets. Even if we could reach them, how do we light them all at once? Juno's eyes burned with fragile fire. The constellation doesn't ask what's easy. It asks what must be done. Lyra pressed her palm against the glass, watching the radiance flicker across the void. Each light seemed impossibly far, impossibly fragile. Yet the braid carried their pulse, steady and insistent. Her hollow echoed the truth. This is the endgame. Haven's song returns. The comms chimed with a faint, fractured chord. Haven survivors. Mara's voice followed, weary but resolute. We felt the stir. The constellation calls. 12 radiants must burn, or none will. We will take the ones within our reach. But you, carriers of the braid, must strike deeper. Kael spat a bitter laugh. Of course, they leave the hardest ones to us. Mara didn't argue. Because you carry the oath. Because the constellation chose you. Because no one else can. The line cut. The weight of Haven's expectation pressed heavier than any command. The Autumn's answer. As if in reply, the Autumn appeared. Not scouts this time. Not a handful of red eyes. A formation, dozens of ships arranged in symmetrical arcs, their certainty pulsing in rhythm with the half-built silencer gate. Their message hammered into bone. 12 will not sing. 12 will be erased. Fracture cannot endure. The bond staggered under the weight of it. Lyra gasped as the hollow flared, nearly consumed by the certainty pressing against it. Kael snarled, fingers twitching toward weapons. Then we cut them down until they stopped talking. Juno's voice trembled, but held. No, we light faster than they can erase. Lyra steadied herself, hollow aching, shard of ash pulsing like a second heartbeat. Both. We fight when we must. We light where we can. And we endure. The 12 paths. The map expanded. 12 radiants. 12 impossible paths. Each carried a note of its own. A radiant buried under an Alliance fortress, hidden in law and steel. One sleeping in the ruins of a world cracked by autumn fire. Another entwined with a star so unstable it might consume itself. A radiant dimmed inside a resonant shrine turned echo forge. Others, faint and waiting, each with a demand, each with a price. Juno whispered, awe and fear tangled. It's not just a task, it's a song. Each radiant is a note. Together they'll form the chord to shatter the gate. Kael grinned, feral. Then we make sure they all sing, even if we bleed to get there. Lyra stared at the map, the hollow pulsing with weight. 12 paths, 12 flames, 12 chances to endure or to break. Her voice was steady. Then we begin. Raptor-One, Voyagers of the Stars. Chapter 24, The 12 Radiants, Extended Edition. The Constellation's Pulse. The shard of ash burned against Lyra's wrist as the map shifted in front of them. It was no longer the slow flicker of a single radiant, no single beckoning note. Instead, the entire constellation stirred. 12 points flared at once, distant and uneven, each with its own rhythm. Their pulses overlapped into a broken chord that should have been noise, but instead resolved into something stranger, a demand. Juno leaned forward, eyes wide, her breath trembling. They're not waiting anymore. The constellation wants all of them. Lit together. 12 lights, 12 voices. Kael muttered under his breath, the words sharp as steel. That's not a request. That's an execution order. Lyra pressed her palm to the glass. The hollow inside her rang, heavy with resonance. It was not absence this time, it was recognition. This was the endgame. A circle of fire. The map painted their options in hard, merciless lines. Radiant One, hidden beneath the ruins of a cracked world, its crust split by autumn bombardment. The note it carried was low, almost mournful. To reach it, they would have to walk through fire. Radiant Two, buried inside an Alliance fortress, twisted into a weapon of law. Its rhythm pulsed like a gavel. Radiant Three, entwined with a dying star, each pulse fading into its unstable flare. To light it might mean watching it consume itself. Radiant Four, guarded by Echo Forgers, who had already begun bending its shards into weapons. Its pulse was jagged, furious. Radiant Five, asleep beneath an ocean world, its voice deep and slow, muffled by leagues of water. Radiant Six, a drifting shard station abandoned centuries ago, but its corridors still echoed with trapped voices. Radiant Seven, cloaked in autumn certainty, its pulse barely audible under the weight of erasure. Radiant Eight, housed in a resonant shrine warped by time, its note faint but sweet, fragile as glass. Radiant Nine, buried in a hollow asteroid mined by generations, its pulse hammering in rhythm with broken machinery. Radiant 10, perched at the edge of a nebula alive with storms, its voice loud but unpredictable. Radiant 11, hidden inside the skeletal remains of a great shipyard, its chords layered with echoes of war. Radiant 12, the faintest of all, a whisper barely there, its note woven into the constellation itself. Juno's hands shook as she traced the map. Each radiant is a note. Alone, they fade. Together, they form the chord, the song strong enough to shatter the gate. The shadow of Haven. The comms pulsed with Haven's fractured song. Mara's voice followed, steady despite the weight she carried. We felt the stir. The constellation calls us as well. 12 radiants must burn, or none will. We will light the ones within our reach. But the farthest, the fiercest, they belong to you. Kael scowled, jaw tight. Convenient, leaving the impossible ones to us. Mara didn't flinch. Because you carry the oath. Because you walk the luminarium. Because the constellation trusts you to endure what others cannot. Her words lingered long after the signal faded. The Autumn's reply. As if answering Haven, the Autumn appeared. Not scouts, not a handful of hunters. A formation, dozens of ships aligned in perfect arcs, their certainty pulsing red, rhythm flawless. They mirrored the 12 points on the map, as though the Autumn already knew where the radiance lay. Their message pressed into marrow, undeniable. 12 will not sing. 12 will be erased. Fracture cannot endure. Lyra clutched her wrist as the shard of ash burned. Kael's fury pressed through the bond. Juno's fear surged, and her hollow nearly collapsed under the Autumn's certainty. She forced herself upright, voice hoarse. Then we prove them wrong, one radiant at a time, until all 12 burn. The 12 paths. The braid steadied, scarred but unbroken. Kael leaned over the NAV, eyes burning. Which do we take first? Juno whispered, the constellation will guide, but we'll need allies. Haven can't do it alone. Neither can we. Lyra stared at the 12 points, each a promise, each a threat. The hollow inside her no longer screamed. It sang, unsteady but determined. 12 flames, she said softly. 12 songs. 12 battles. We'll kindle them, no matter the cost. The shard pulsed once, bright and sharp. The map glowed. The constellation had set the stage. The war for the 12 radiants had begun.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to be notified about upcoming releases to the Raptor-One series, please subscribe. This has been a Bad Karma Drone production.